this is Carl with the RacerRed channel. I'm just out here riding my 2019 Beta 500 RRS, doing some pretty good single track. I came up this, it's gone all the way around. It's kind of just followed these mountains in here and came through the trees over there. You can see the trail. Got pretty technical. It's definitely a beautiful day out here. But I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of this bike and let you know how it rides and all of that stuff. What topics might be important to you that I can think of right off the bat. Just to get it out of the way, one thing I want to talk about is the chain guide. Used to be right here, and that's been known to fall off during testing. And it definitely does that. I was just riding down the road and I heard something getting chewed up, and I looked down and it got eaten by the chain. So the chain guide that they put on here is just garbage. So that's one thing I noticed that was on the negative side. And another one would have to be the oil filter has aluminum screws, and I know not to over tighten those to a certain extent, but it felt like they were made out of clay, like wet clay, and they just broke right off inside of there, so I had to actually drill it out to get those out, and it's a real pain. So I've replaced the two screws you can see in there. It's kind of covered, but you can see those two screws. I've replaced those with steel ones, and I'm just careful because you're screwing those into aluminum. So in my opinion, this is better than stock, how it is right here. It's on its third oil change, and the engine oil is separate from the transmission oil, so that's good for longevity. Things I've done or had done. So I put the FMF exhaust on, and that helps quite a bit to open it up and get more power out of it. A lot better response. I've got an IMS 3.1 gallon tank. I think that's essential for the 19 models. They put a slightly bigger tank on the 2020 models, and they get a little bit better fuel mileage on that model. So not as necessary on that, but it's still nice to have extra fuel. So I got a 3.1 gallon tank on there. I added the kickstart, which is nice to have, but so far I have not been able to kickstart this bike. I think it has to do with the CPU and getting enough electricity to that CPU consistently. And to do that, it requires a lot of rotations in a row. So what the Kickstarter is really nice for, though, is when your battery is running low and it doesn't have enough juice to kick it or to get it spinning fast enough, you can kick it and hit your starter at the same time, and it really fires up quick that way. So and I would like to think if I was in an emergency situation, I would be able to kick it over too if I really put my mind to it. I haven't had too much reason to yet. Another thing I did right off the bat is replace the oil pump gear with a steel gear, and that I just had the dealership do before I bought the bike. And that's all I've done to the bike besides my 204 stickers, and I left the stock stickers underneath that. This bike definitely revs out. Like if you're going down the highway, it likes to cruise at about 65, but much beyond that, you're gonna be revving it out pretty good. It'll do 100, but with the stock gearing, I'd be comfortable with 65. Other than that, it revs out pretty good. Comes with handguards stock, comes street legal. It's an awesome feeling to come off of the pavement onto a dirt road and then hit single track like this and just come out way out here without ever loading up your truck. That's the name of the game when it comes to these lightweight dual sports. And you can't really even call this bike a dual sport. Harley because it's a full-blown dirt bike. Everything about this thing almost is just full-blown dirt bike. It makes about, I think they advertise 53 horsepower, and it makes butter smooth power. Has a 6-speed transmission, which shifts really nicely. The brakes work really great. It's got Brembo hydraulics, so the clutch is Brembo and the brakes are as well. Actually, scratch that. The brakes are Nissan, but they work really, really well. They are hydraulic. So the clutch is Brembo and the brakes are Nissan. Comes standard with the skid plate on there, so no changes there. And another thing I really like is that it comes standard with a radiator fan, so that'll keep your temperature down when you're on the trail and when you're stuck in traffic. The weight on this bike is said to be 260 pounds, I believe, which is pretty light, considering a DRZ 400 is 383, if I remember right. I could be wrong on that. So far, everything's worked good. It's got about 1,500 miles on it. The signals haven't broken or anything, so the signal's been working good. All the electronics have been working really well. One thing about the TrailTech computer that comes standard is that the RPM doesn't show the correct RPM standard, so you just have to do a quick adjustment, and that can just be done by using this stuff. It's not like you have to plug into it with anything fancy. You just have to scroll through and select a different mapping. But it showed about half the RPM that I was actually doing before I went in and changed the settings, and I've seen a lot of people are having that same thing happen. So it's nothing major, it's just something you have to go in and do. One bad thing about this bike is the footprint of this kickstand. Just leave this thing out. How's that supposed to hold anything? Look at that, it's like a needle. So you have to be really careful about where you put this bike. I have it sitting on the uphill pretty upright, but it's definitely not gonna hold itself up any other way with any weight on that thing. What else about this bike? This one has the single injectors, so the fuel mileage I've been getting is about 45 miles to the gallon, which is, I think, pretty decent. But the 2020 and newer models will come with dual injectors, and they get better mileage. So they made some pretty big improvements for the 2020 models. So if you guys are on the fence about getting a 19 or a 20, I would definitely get the 20. The 20s came out the day that I bought this, and I was a little bit disappointed. But that's alright. This thing is still a beast. The mirrors that come with it, these Mickey Mouse deals, I will replace those eventually. I'm making do with that for a little bit. I mean, they are kind of cheesy, but it's not a big deal. But they do fold down out of your way too. And they are easy to get rid of. You can just unscrew it and it pops right off of there. So super easy to get rid of. Actually, I think I will get rid of these while I'm out here. I'll throw these in my backpack. But it's that simple. The tires it comes with are Michelin Enduros, and they are really soft compound, pretty shallow tread, and they wear really easily. These are the stock ones on this bike, and they're pretty well worn out. But this bike has about 1,500 miles on it too, so that's a lot of miles for any dirt tire. Another thing that is noteworthy is you're going to have to take your bike to the dealership and have your wheels balanced right away. I have never done that, and I'm getting crazy vibration from this front wheel because it still has a rim lock with no counterweight. That's a pretty big deal. You'll want to do that right away. The headlight sucks. I recommend getting a Baja Designs headlight if you're going to be doing any night riding. just telling it like it is, that headlight definitely doesn't do much for you. As far as reliability, the beta's been really awesome so far. I've had no issues, and there's really nothing to tell you there. I've just been doing oil changes and riding it for the most part, besides that oil change deal where the aluminum bolts that go into the oil filter failed on me. And that may have been my fault, but it really felt like those were pretty flimsy. So I really don't feel like they were even seated very well before they broke. There's little quirks like that, but as far as the engine and transmission and suspension, the whole drivetrain, it's pretty awesome. And in my opinion, this is one of the best looking bikes out there. It's absolutely beautiful. With that red frame especially, it's an awesome looking frame. So I haven't done any mapping for the FMF Q4 exhaust I have on it, and it seems to be doing just fine. So I'm not going to remap it. It seems to be running great. If I put a header on it, which I won't, but if I did put a header on it and I put a more free-flowing exhaust on there on the back, like a 4.1 or something like that, something really dirt oriented that wasn't even street legal, I'd probably have to remap it. But as is, I don't have to. It really does just fine. Also noteworthy is it comes with Excel rims. So it's coming with all premium parts. It's all top shelf stuff. All the hardware on this bike are pretty top shelf. Anyways, guys, that's about all I can think of at the moment. I've had it, like I said, for about 1,500 miles now. I've done quite a bit of single track, although it's been winter time, so I haven't been able to do as much as I would like with it. This summer, I will definitely be using it a lot. I'll be riding to different lakes and doing multi-day trips with it. So a lot of the races I was going to do this year are canceled due to the corona. So in lieu of that, I will be doing a lot of adventure riding, and I'll be riding all my bikes a lot, but this one will definitely get used this year. Anyways, guys, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you'd like to support the channel, you can go to patreon.com/RacerRed, and that helps me out a ton. Otherwise, just like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next video. See ya.